Welcome to episode 254 of the Shared Security Show. And joining me this week are the world's most infamous co-hosts, Scott Wright and Kevin Johnston.
Yes. And which infamous scale are you using for that metric, Tom?
The most one.
Yes, the most evil one, of course.
He's using the metric infamous scale. Don't worry, Mr. Canadian.
Yeah, it has to be metric, man. You know.
Yep, that's right. Hey, as an American, I actually prefer the metric system. I wish we adopted that instead of this crazy, imperial system.
All air traffic control should be done in meters. And
I find it funny that we rebelled against the royalty, the crown and all this kind of stuff. And then we kept a measurement system called imperial.
It's so American.
Yeah,
but,
I find it hilarious.
Yes. Well, we have some stories today.
But first, we need a Cleveland joke.
You have a Cleveland joke? Oh, please.
No. I thought Cleveland was just a joke.
This is a first.
I thought Cleveland was the joke.
Well, no, I mean, Tom did a bunch of Canadian jokes, and then I missed a week, and he thought I was going to forget. And
this is a revenge joke.
Okay, let's hear it.
So apparently, the safest place to go in a tornado is to the Cleveland Browns locker room because there's never a touchdown there.
I love that. I love that, actually.
And on the same football note, there was a guy named Johnny Manziel who played for Cleveland for a long time.
Yeah.
Manziel. Yeah. Uh-huh. And he went to play in the Canadian Football League. In his first game, he threw 4 interceptions. And somebody posted, you can take the man out of the Cleveland, but you can't take the Cleveland out of the quarterback or something like that.
I love that. Yes.
So I did some research. That's why I'm not really prepared for our episode, but I got that.
He's got no information about the security stuff, but those Browns.
I love that. Thank you.
Question. I know I don't want to cause any hate. Why are they called the Browns?
They're named after they're named after a famous football player in the 1960s. His last name was Brown.
Was he on the team?
Yes, he was on the team.
What were they called before they named it after him?
That's a great idea.
I can't remember. I don't know.
They were the Clevelands.
It wasn't the Browns. The Clevelands, yeah.
The Cleveland Nulls.
Well, yeah.
Look, I can't talk. Jacksonville renamed their baseball team, which I'm assuming is like minor league or something, but I'm not sure. They were the Jacksonville Suns, and they decided to name them the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which is...
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. It's been like 2 or 3 years now, or maybe longer than that, but they are the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And every time I hear it, I think to myself, shrimp?
That's the most Florida thing I've ever heard, I think.
I know. I think it's like, why? Why are we the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp? So, yeah.
So in other news,
actual talk we wanted to talk about a podcast.
For those of you who are still with us,
yes, that's right. So getting back to the cybersecurity news. So we've had lots of data breach news about Twitter and Meta recently, right? There's news that came out that 5.4 million Twitter user accounts have been exposed through an API vulnerability that was shared on a hacker forum. And then there was Meta had a big fine from the Ireland's Data Protection Commission. Yeah. It was a $265 million fine to Meta for a data breach that impacted millions back in 2021. So the leaks keep continuing, and I'm sure this is not the best of news to Elon Musk, who is having all kinds of problems with Twitter right now, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, if I was ever going to tear down a social network, I'd probably do the same things.
Yeah, so you can watch him burn, $46 billion day by day. Kind of interesting.
All seriousness, I'm not arguing for or against. I want to be very clear. I don't like Elon Musk.
You own a Tesla, but
I own a Tesla, but I don't like Elon Musk. I did not buy the Tesla because I'm a fanboy. Yes, I absolutely agree. As an organization, as a company, the firings, the mistakes, the things like that, it's absolutely tearing it down. Other than the sheer amount of noise on Twitter, have you seen anything actually change on Twitter? And I want to leave one exception. I absolutely agree that he has allowed back in tons of people that were banned, and that is awful, and that irritates me. But in a day-to-day usage of Twitter, and I will acknowledge the privilege I have we seen? Because I haven't. I have the same feed I had before. I'm not seeing a lot of the hatred and things like that other people see, right? Like I'm not seeing a huge change in how it runs. Have you?
I've seen less security stuff because a lot of people have moved over. At least a lot of the followers that I had, some of the bigger names too, like Leslie and others that have moved over to Mastodon. But that's been the only difference. I just see a lot more ads and crap now.
I see less ads now.
See, maybe the algorithm is different for you, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking. This is not a defending. This is a
right.
My experience is, yes, you're right. I didn't think about saying that. I have seen people that I follow that they've stopped posting because they're not posting there anymore. I still follow Twitter, and this is stupid. I still follow Twitter. I still use Twitter mostly for legal analysis. I follow a significant number of lawyers that post things about cases and stuff like that, and I find that stuff fascinating. And I have not yet found the same thing on Mastodon or anywhere else that I've looked. And I actually posted about it, and it was funny to me. The only help I got was, like I said, hey, anybody know where I could find like a similar thing? And the only help I got was, oh, here's how you find out who you're following and if they have Mastodon. I'm like, no, I already did that.
Yeah, I have to say I'm seeing less ads, mostly because I'm just not on Twitter very much anymore.
No, that would cause you to see less ads.
There you go.
I see less things because I keep my eyes closed. And,
yeah. So I mean, keep in mind, like, there's obviously more security issues and there's, fines and everything in social media. The reason I bring these two stories up is because are we starting to see a shift from traditional social media that's based on ads, and people are starting to wake up now that, we should start moving away to maybe something else that is less invasive from a privacy perspective with ads and all these data breaches and things. I feel like we're almost at a tipping point. It just feels like that to me.
It feels more, to me, it feels more like it's a serendipitous kind of thing, right? Because of the precipitation of this whole thing by Elon, a bunch of people are moving and different things are happening. So I think it's sort of triggered a bunch of stuff, but I don't think that would have happened so much on its own.
I feel like, and I use Twitter for way more than InfoSec, right? I feel like the majority of the tipping point is in our industry. I see very few people that I'm watching, right, that I'm following, that are moving off of Twitter. Like, they'll comment on what Elon Musk is doing. They're commenting on it. And I think that, tying to the story, the fines, the things like that, I think what we're seeing is social media of all types has become such a massive part of life, people. And because of that, I see the governments focusing more on penalizing the social media sites for messing up. And I'm not saying whether that's good or bad, but we're seeing more of the fines, like, okay, Facebook got fined this, but at the same time that Facebook got fined for losing this many, how many other companies lost similar amounts of data with no fine?
Yeah.
Right? Because the breaches of Twitter and Facebook on a size perspective are not actually that rare, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you start bringing in the marketing companies, the analytics companies. How many times do we see these breaches where
all the time?
Data collector 3 just exposed an S3
Yep.
bucket with 87 billion people's data on, right? Like, and obviously I'm exaggerating, right? We see this constantly. And how many of those data collectors have been fined? How many of those data collectors are being hit this way? And what I want to know is I'm not saying don't fine Facebook. I'm saying, why aren't we finding the organizations that are doing the exact same thing? And for Facebook, I can look at Facebook, just picking on this one because of the article, I can look at Facebook and say, you know what? They're evil. They do bad stuff. They're collecting our data and abusing it. But you know what? They have a good reason for being. I've connected with people that I don't see on a regular basis. I just got word that a man that I greatly respect just died. I would never have known that if Facebook wasn't around because I haven't seen him in years, right? So Facebook has a good reason for being. The data collector that's selling my data, they're no benefit to me.
Right.
Right. It's similar to the argument about, regulating guns, right? If we have an organization that is just made to collect money at abusing people's privacies, why aren't we fixing that?
But Kevin, you always say, I want to throw this back at you. You always say you like having our ads that are, what do we call it? Not targeted, but high quality ads for you, relevant ads, right? And they come because Facebook has sold your data.
No. I agree with you, Scott. You're absolutely right. I always say that if I'm going to get advertising, I want it tailored. But I still stand by the statement that those data collectors that are losing data because they shove it into an S3 bucket, they're not benefiting.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Right. Yes, I like targeted ads. If I'm going to be advertised to, there is that qualifier on there that I believe I've said every time. Not, I love ads. It is if I have to see advertising, I would rather it be relevant. It's similar, like let's make fun of Amazon here for a second, right? How many times the day after you buy something are you advertised for that item from Amazon? Right? Like, it makes no sense to me. Hey, my wife just bought our household a vacuum mop. Right?
You must be in the market for 4 more.
Right before I joined here, I got the notification that it was out for delivery, right? Like, you're getting a vacuum mop today. And I know that when I log in tonight to anything, it's going to say, "Ooh, you might want one of these." No. My house isn't that big. I need one.
Oh, man.
That's awesome. Great discussion. Well, we will see what happens if traditional social media dies in flames, or something new pops up, or everything continues. It'll be interesting.
There will always be something new.
There will be. That's
now,
true.
Having talked about that, and I know this wasn't one of the articles, did you see where Hive just shut down?
Yes.
And why?
Just today. Yeah.
That blew my mind, and I didn't realize this. Hive is another replacement for Twitter, and I've not looked at it. I've seen people talking about it, seen people moving into it. Supposedly, the person who built it actually learned how to code to build Hive.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and somebody figured out that you could post as anybody else you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like you, Kevin, building a social network. That would be bad.
I don't think it would be bad for me to build a social network. I think it would be bad if I built a social network and then people used it.
That too. But your track record, Kevin, of writing crappy code is pretty good.
I would argue that I've written some good code as well.
Okay. I'm just making fun of you, Base.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, Base was awful. Base was awful. I still remember when I got never mind. Yes.
No, that's another story.
Really bad code in Base.
Yes. All right. Well, let's jump to our next segment, which is everybody's favorite, Aware Much?
Oh. Yes, thanks, Tom. Well, this is an interesting one we're covering. I'm not a TikTok user, and I barely understand this one, but it's pretty interesting if we can make sense of it, right? So there is something called the Invisible Challenge that people are using, and there's some software that will remove. I guess
it says it removes.
No. The actual filter does.
There's a filter that does something. Yeah.
When you record a video for TikTok, and I want to be very clear, I use TikTok. I have never posted to TikTok. The Secure Ideas marketing person, Megan, she's trying to convince us to put up TikToks for security, but I'm not doing that. You can do filters, and when you record the video, it does things like, oh, there's a tarantula on your face or something like that, right? And the way this filter is people, it's a thirst trap, I think is what it's called. The person will be dancing, and then they'll lift their shirt, and the filter will remove their body from the video. Okay? And it's this joke, trick, weird filter thing. And then these two people, and I'll let you pick it up there.
Well, you go ahead. You know it better than I do. You know the whole story.
So these two people started telling people, hey, you want to see that person naked? We have the software that will reverse the filter.
It's called an unfilter. Yeah.
Right. Now, here's the funny part. That kind of thing exists. Now, whether it exists to reverse the filter of the naked person, but how many times have we seen that the government has put out obfuscated documents, and then there's code that you can run against it, and it determines how to obfuscate
unredacting.
Right. So the idea that a filter can be reversed, that's legitimate.
Yeah.
So they released this, and it's code that you run to prove that it does it. The people posted a website that they put up links, videos that you probably don't want to watch at work, of naked people that they supposedly defiltered, and in the article, and I've not looked to see any updates, but in the article it said that as of the time they wrote the article, one of the things it does is it installs malware on your machine, and that malware connects to a Discord channel. And as of the writing of the article, I think it said 30,000 people had attempted to unfilter the naked body and got infected with this malware, which this is one of those things. And I know that I'm not normal. I know that I'm not a real person or something. I've just never thought to myself, and don't get me wrong, I've watched a video and thought, man, that person's attractive. I've never thought to myself, I'm going to take the time to install software so I can see that person. That just doesn't, I don't get it. Right? Like, that's something I don't understand. 30,000 people have fallen for this. Oh, yeah, I want to see that person naked. Let me install this malware.
Well, I mean, it's one of those social engineering triggers, right? I mean, if you can trigger somebody's emotion, and that emotion is lust, then they will do a lot of things for it.
Anything to do with naked people, it usually gets people to click.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing that this is what I don't understand, because if I want to see naked people, there are so many naked people on the internet. Like, I may not see that specific naked person, but there are other naked people available at no risk.
There are 30,000 people who specifically want to see specific people.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah. So cue the Aware Much lesson here, Scott.
Yeah. Well, the lesson is, as I said, social engineering. It actually reminds me there was a Facebook scam going around about 10 years ago where there was something you could, I don't know if it was an app or something you could run to expose something that normally isn't available to regular Facebook users. And it was being used to launch malware on people's computers a similar way. So it's just a different flavor of a similar type of approach. So just be careful. If you want to see naked people, as Kevin says, just go anywhere on the internet. Don't do it with TikTok.
Don't do it on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. So this installment of Aware Much was brought to you by ClickArmor, which is the first optimized security awareness program with gamified foundational courses, gamified challenges, and now... Oh, somebody's in Kevin's office.
Kevin's in.
And now, spoil my thunder, optimized live phishing simulations. Which, as you know, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I've said a lot of bad things about phishing simulations. It's not that I hate them that much. It's just that they're so hard to get good value from if you don't do them right. If you do them properly and in the right amount of timing, there's some value to be had. In a lot of cases, I don't think that most chief information security officers or executives see the value that they think they're getting. But what we can do is actually create phishing simulations that are intelligently created that avoid a lot of the costs and inefficiencies and wasted time and backlash and all those things. So come to clickarmor.ca and have a look at what we do with our optimized security awareness program.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you for letting us know that we can find naked people on the internet. It's not a scam.
If you're lucky, yeah.
That's right. But our last story, this is a fun one. So police in San Francisco will be allowed to deploy potentially lethal remote-controlled robots in emergency situations. So this was a policy
that's going to go well.
Approved by the city's Board of Supervisors last week. So all I can think about after reading this article is there was an episode of Doctor Who, I think it was like last season, where the Daleks, they used Daleks to basically replace the police in London. And we all know, if you know anything about Doctor Who, that's a horrible mistake because the Daleks are meant to exterminate all of humanity. So I now think that police in San Francisco now have the power of the Daleks to destroy all of humanity. What do you guys think about that?
I read this article and I giggled, which is probably not the preferred response to the article. This is such a good example of unintended consequences. So,
oh my gosh, yeah.
California pushed forward. And by the way, I think, I don't always agree with what California does, but I think this makes sense, is that California pushed forward and said, hey, the militarization of the police is bad. We've been, because of various things, right? We've been giving military equipment to the police for years now, decades now. And so here's what we want. We want to inventory the stuff you have, and then we want to determine whether or not you can use it, right? And so that makes sense, right? Look, I got a tank. I should probably figure out if I'm allowed to use the tank, right? And that might be an exaggeration. And so what happened was they've had these robots for a while and the use of the robots.
Like bomb robots and yeah.
Hey, there's a suspicious package. Let's not have anybody go over there. Let's have a robot go over there. And so this one group decided to leverage, and I got the impression from reading this article and others that they put it forward to show the ridiculousness of what the police had. But I don't know that that's true. And so they put forward this request like, hey, we've got these robots. Can we give them guns?
Just put guns on them.
And it passed. And that blows my mind. Right? Like,
that
hey,
is funny.
I got a good idea. We can fix things. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God, the robots have guns.
It's funny. In the article, it's funny. I see this thing. It says, the proposed policy does not lay out specifics for how the weapons can and cannot be equipped. Well, that's thinking in advance. We'll deal with that in the details of the implementation.
That's fine. Doesn't matter. Can't we trust them? Asimov says there's 3 rules, and those 3 laws of robotics would prevent this from working at all. Asimov was a genius.
As long as the policy enforcement point has not been hacked.
I will absolutely say that I find it absolutely hilarious that out of all of the cities in the United States that you could predict would arm their robots, San Francisco is not top on that
San
list.
Francisco.
Right? I'm not making a judgment call. I'm not making fun of anything. I'm just saying, if you were to say to me, hey, do you think Dallas, Texas, Jacksonville, Florida, or San Francisco is going to arm their robots first? This would not be the choice I would pick.
Well, like RoboCop in the movies, that was Detroit.
Right, which makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Totally.
I mean, just saying. But
San Francisco,
London,
absolutely where I expected armed robots. San Francisco.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out.
I bow to our robot overlords.
Absolutely.
Just preemptively.
Absolutely.
So they don't.
I have 2 Roombas, so I absolutely bow to my robot vacuum overlords.
You say that. I just bought yesterday, and it'll be sometime next week, the Astro from Amazon.
You did? Oh, we're doing a whole show on that.
Oh, yeah. It comes on the 13th.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I will have it set up on the 14th. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Isn't that just an Echo on wheels?
It's supposedly more than that. I'm going to enjoy playing with it. That's what it is.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. We're going to be doing a whole episode on Kevin's new robot.
But because I'm not in San Francisco, I won't be attaching a Glock to it.
Yeah, you're in Florida, so only worse things could happen.
Yeah, tie a crocodile to it. Yeah.
You can attach an alligator. We don't have crocodiles. We have alligators.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, with that, I think that's a good place to end the podcast.
Good stopping point.
But, thank you both for your insight, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure we had much insight this time.
Oh, it was a good one, though. It was good. But we will talk to everyone again next week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, hit that like and subscribe button. To catch all the latest from the show, visit our website, sharedsecurity.net. Follow us on Twitter at SharedSec, and join our Reddit community on the Shared Security Show subreddit.